time progresses, people are relatively more aware or less aware of their geographic surroundings and
First, you have to consider where the person is, and what's their
Yeah.
background. Sadly, here in the United States, we've seen people become less and less aware of their geographic surroundings. Third world countries, they tend to have problems with it, but in your more developed countries elsewhere in the world, I think they are every bit as aware as ever.
Overall, have the grades of your students increased, decreased, or stayed the same year to year?
They're going down a little bit the past couple of years. It seems that there's a greater amount of apathy. So, yeah, don't mind the interview going on here.
What variables could lead to a person knowing more or less about the location of a nation?
If you can make a personal connection, it really helps. If, for instance, you look at your shoes, if it says made in Indonesia, well, okay, go, and it's like, okay, you're going to study Indonesia, look and find something made in Indonesia.
Do you have any suggestions to improve or maintain the current geographic knowledge of people?
Accountability. Very simply, I think that there's not as much cultural awareness going on. People tend to be more xenophobic, which is very unfortunate. That's another thing that I try to put into my lessons is because, for instance, teaching world history, being a 10th grade class here at the senior high level, most of the people coming in are coming from someplace else. So a lot of times I like to try and embrace that. If we're teaching a unit on China and I have kids from China in the classroom, I like to try and get them, to speak about it. If we're teaching about, the Middle East and there are students from the Middle East, there you often have to, find out specifically what part of the Middle East, because the perspective from country to country in the Middle East can be very different. But the bottom line is I try to get people to learn about their classmates and their background and where they're from, because the one thing that creates problems more than anything else, as far as everybody getting along, is ignorance. And if we learn what our neighbor, our classmate, where they're from, why they think the way they do, then we're less likely to fear them or, blindly, just turn off to them. We begin to look at them as a person, and then we'll also be more interested in where they come, what's that part of the world like, and so we'll be more geographically aware.